But in the 700 to 800 domains I've purchased, I've never paid for anything but the domain. Now, here's another I'm going to call this a big warning. Make sure you are the registrant and the administrative contact when you get your domain. Your web person can be the technical contact. Absolutely do not get lazy and let your web person buy the domain name for you and make themselves the registrant. See, what that means is your webmaster owns your website, not you. If you have a falling out with them, which is very common, you will have an enormous amount of trouble and fees, both legal and governmental, to get it back. Now, here's the next big warning. Do whatever you can to get the .com. Now, it's okay with me if you want to buy the .net and .org version and all the others so someone else can't get them if you're flush with money. But you only do that if you can get the .com. See, if someone is trying to remember to type your domain name into their browser, they are absolutely going to type .com after it. If you are .org or .net or some other of the myriad domain names they got, and they're coming up with all the time, part of your traffic is going to go to the person who has the .com. It's just as simple as that. Also, you could get in legal trouble. You know, people can sue anybody for anything nowadays, and the owner of the original .com might say something like, well, you're trying to infringe on their brand name by registering a similar domain name. And if they have a big team of lawyers, well, let me quote from the name of this podcast, okay? You're pretty much screwed. Even if you could win the lawsuits, your legal fees are probably going to be staggering. You're probably better off either trying to get an original .com domain name or switching to a different name entirely so that you can get the .com. Now, I'm going to give you ways to try to get the .com or a variation thereof of the domain you want a little later, right at the end, I think. And that's if the main one you want is not available in the .com. Now, how would you like another big warning? Okay. You see, you thought that buying domains was easy, right? Absolutely do not check a domain name at a registrar if you aren't ready to purchase it immediately. I'm really serious about this. There's a fraudulent activity called domain name front running, where insiders at the registrar grab the domain name and try to sell it back to you for a big profit. And in the show notes, I've put the Wikipedia link to this bad fraudulent activity, so you can read about it if you want. All right, here's another warning. You can buy previously owned domains from the owners or brokers of domains, or even often owners selling on eBay or places like flippa.com. Now, I've also included a bunch of other places that buy and sell domain names in the show notes. Flippa, Cedo, Namecheap, and a bunch of others. You have to be extremely careful when using these sites because the old owners may have done so many bad or black hat things with the domain that they got it banned from Google. And probably if it's banned from Google, it's banned from all the search engines. A domain like this would not be worth as much to purchase. I mean, people could still go directly to it if you sent them there, but you would never get any free traffic from the search engines. So how do you tell if a domain is banned? Well, I can't possibly tell you better than Matt Cutts from Google. I'm not sure he's still there, but he made a great video on it. If you're going to buy a used domain, in the show notes will be a link to the video of all the tips you need to know to see if your site was banned before you buy it. Chances are, if it's banned, you probably just don't want to buy it. Now, before you bother with all the things the Google guy is going to tell you to do in that video, the simplest thing is just to check to see if the name you're thinking of is being used and has current content on it. If it's up online and